Dear friends of art, very welcome to La Galleria a Venezia. We are here in Venice at this time, in my sweet little gallery in the heart of Venice, close to the theater La Fenice, which is just behind me. And so some of you have been already visiting La Galleria within the last 20 years, because we started in June 8 of 2001, and so we celebrate the 20 years anniversary this year in Venice. Unfortunately, under difficult conditions, because we wanted to make this inauguration already in June, but due to COVID circumstances, it was a little bit in delay, and it's the Architecture Biennale instead of the Art Biennale, but nevertheless, I think we can present you a wonderful exhibition with beautiful artworks. I called the exhibition Milestones because I wanted to present to you some main works of the last 20 years or representative works which might have been sold. So we will start with Fabrizio Plessi. I give you a little guide through the exhibition. We start with Fabrizio Plessi. This is a relic of the homage to Venice. It used to be a big sculpture with steel and mosaic. The mosaic was related to St. Marcus Cathedral on St. Marcus Square, and it showed, let's say, the renovation of La Galleria. It's related to the gold of St. Marcus Basilica, and it was integrated in a steel construction with mosaic. So now we have just a relic, but to remind to this marvelous starting. Here, to give you some more impression how the sculpture looked, we have some detailed drawings like Fabrizio Plessi used to do, quite precise with measurements and indications of how to do. So you have some details of the final sculpture we presented here to be present instead. I cannot do a chronological walk through my exhibition, but I do it physically to the space. Here we have some beautiful work from the series of Daniel Buren, the famous French artist, from the series Cadre des Cadres. It's, there are frames in steel with transparent foil in colors, and the famous white stripes in 8.7 large going from vertical. Normally, if the light, this difference is more strong, you see the reflection on the black back wall, and so we try to do our best, but you see the physical work itself, and of course we have a beautiful catalog who shows how the work were developed and how the works have been seen in Mainz in 2006. In 2007, during the Biennale, I decided to have a one-man show of these wonderful works of Daniel Buren here, and it was a year actually when he was curator of the French pavilion, where Sophie Calle exhibited and presented the French nation. And during this time it was very practical for me, as Daniel gave many interviews, and everybody speaks about Daniel and his idea for the pavilion. So when the people passed by the windows of La Galleria, they saw works of Daniel Buren and said, we just heard his ideas, and they came in, and it was a quite successful show. And in the same year, he got the most important award that artists can have. It's a Premium Imperial, which is some sort of the Nobel Prize in the art world. It's given by the Japanese not king, what is after king, whatever, and it's the most important prize. So then we follow here. This is a real master from the French artist, and this is a real master from the American artist. He is Joseph Kossut. He invented in 1965 this idea of conceptual art. So that means it's not the physical making of the art is the art, but the idea of the art is the art. So the idea counts more. In Germany, it took some time until the people could understand that the idea is more than the fabricating. But if you have the idea of architecture, for example, and we are here in the year of the Architecture Biennale, you understand much better that the idea is the value. For example, the architecture is the building is named after the architecture, not after the person who put stone by stone or whatever. So here we have a wonderful masterpiece, and I'm very, very proud to show it. It's the colored intermediary between two colors. Is so fascinating that consider what color between another color is looking like and how it's transformed. If you have the red between the white, it's very different, and green between the yellow, or if you had the red between the green. So you can consider a little bit about the work, but I want to mention that with his invention in 1965 with 1 and 3 chairs, which is a part of art history actually, he invented that there was a chair, a photograph of the chair, and the definition of the chair, and all these are only different appearance of the same idea, the idea of the chair. It was a fantastic and a unique invention of art, and it's changed our complete thinking. So, besides these masters, we have Guan Yaowu. He's coming from China, and we had this wonderful exhibition in 2000. The German gallery became 25 years old, and I had the exhibition a priori. So he put a big installation of his microphone parts that you put on the microphone, and he made a big installation of these ovals, which are in different sizes. You see these 4 protect the little 5th one in the center, and when you can imagine, we have the whole complete wall full of these. It was a wonderful appearance of the relation between beings in a certain way. Here we have from Günter Oecker, the famous German artist. He is very famous and known for his nail works, but here we have a fantastic waterfall, and water is very good related to Venice because there's always water, and it's a very delicate work. You see, this is a canvas, he put the color, it starts very full here, it becomes very poetic when it's flowing out, and with the dots and with the lines. It's a very, very wonderful work. We showed it actually in 2005 for the exhibition Pantarei, Everything is Moving, the Heraclite idea, and we had together with it the print Fluss, river, that he actually made especially for that show with Pantarei. We follow here, it's a work from the Swiss artist, is one of the Swiss concrete artists around the circle of Max Bill. He was born in 1917. The name is Gottfried Honegger, and we had the honor in 2003 to show here an exhibition with his tableau relief in occasion of his 85th birthday. We made a beautiful feast, I tell you. We have been in Cipriani with a nice dinner and a big birthday cake at the end. This tableau relief is a very interesting series because it's not a painting, it's not a tableau, but it's a relief. You see the borders, it's a 3-dimensional work, and he has a wonderful sense of color. You see this little rosé, you see this green with the red. This is free, So it was a rectangle, but then it moved, it became dynamic, and it was a wonderful show. In relation with this show, we presented his new book about a dialogue between artists of 500 years. Some he knew and some it's invented, but with Honegger it always is a mixture between invention and dialogue. Here we have a very specific work of Francois Morelle, the other very famous French artist I'm working with since the 80s. The work is constructed with the number pi, and the number pi has the numbers 3,1, 4, 1, 5, and so on. And he adds these numbers with some degrees to construct his works. And this is a Pinox work. And you know what is Pinox? Pi? Pinox? P inoxidable. It's a work that cannot rust, constructed by number pi. Another very important work that we showed in this exhibition in 2003 was this neon work. Mainly the exhibition existed of these Pinox works and the neon works. And it was in 2003. I remember it was a very, very hot summer. We all suffered, but the exhibition was great. And Francois Morelle came himself. We showed a big white canvas in the form of a circle with some neon parts, always 4 parts, like 4 quarters of a circle, normally surrounding his white canvas, but they became crazy. Why? Because of the full moon. You know, with the full moon, everybody is getting crazy, and so also the neons of Francois Morelle. That's why he gives the title lunatic. You know, luna is moon, and when the moon gets a tick, becomes crazy, then also his neon works, his neon curves, they started to become crazy. It was a wonderful show, and I could persuade Francois Morelle to make a specific neon multiple for this exhibition. And it's very rare, I can tell you, because you say, oh, it's too tiring if something happened, then for an edition is not, no, I don't like to do that, but he did for me. And this is one of the very, very few neon editions he did in an edition of 25. And you see, also this canvas is getting a little bit crazy, but at least the neon keeps straight. So here we have another wonderful example of a Belgian artist called Anne Quince. The work is called Chaos Life, and we had a beautiful exhibition during the Architecture Biennale, and now we have the Architecture Biennale too, so it's quite suitable. And he had a beautiful one-man show in this gallery. And as he's working a lot in the space, in cities, because he thinks cities should be like open-air museums. He wants that all the people have the chance to see his artworks. So they don't have to enter galleries. They don't have to pay to enter museums, whatever. He wants to give the art to all of them. So he made huge installation, and he started in Nevada with the Burning Man Festival with a huge wood sculpture which was burnt afterwards. And I knew these big installations and I loved it a lot. I think they are wonderful works. And so I invited him to participate. He was at first in 2011 for the 10-year jubilee of this gallery. And then I invited him for a one-man show because I wanted to see more. And this Chaos Life work is very interesting because it's very much related to space. You see this mirror in the back, but it shouldn't be used for selfies. It should be art. But here you see all the little pieces of wood which are glued together to a form. It becomes even more three-dimensional through the mirror. But it's clear if the world is getting into chaos, like for example, nowadays, and of course from time to time, then you need clear structures to survive, and he is the inventor of structures. So, how to continue? Now we have also a wonderful example here of this yellow work of Turrissimeti. He is one of the big masters of Italian art as well. He is one of the Italian Zero Group people which have been around Lucio Fontana. He did one of his first shows in Milano in the studio of Lucio Fontana, and he was the inventor of the oval, let's say. So the oval here is a three-dimensional. It's not fake, it's not painted, it's a real volume, it's a relief. And this yellow is beautiful and quite suitable for Venice. I love really this work. It's so beautiful, and these are not, they seem to be very straight, but if you look more detailed, you see it's a little upper than this, and so it's a little movement, but it's a very serious work at the same time. It's a really wonderful. We presented this in, not this work, but another work in 2018, when we presented the book published in occasion of his one-man show in Cadoro in Mainz, together with this deluxe edition, the little embossment here. And it was wonderful. He was here, he signed the book, and I was very proud because I showed his work already at the young age of 25 years in '85 in my first gallery in Mainz. So we continue with Mohammed Qassim, the artist from Dubai. Here is a very, very interesting work. It's called Fixing Nothing. They are blue mothers and silver screws in an aluminium square and with a circle around. Of course, these screws are function, but this function don't lead to anything. It's freedom. They have no function. They function, but they have no function. And this is the secret of art. And beside this, they are very beautiful. It's a beautiful game of light and shadow that you see here. And the idea of fixing nothing is an interesting idea too. You can consider, how could I fix nothing? You could not fix anything. That's the point. Because everything is changing. Pantarei, Heraclit, the old Greek philosopher, he explained that you can never enter a river twice because the river changed and yourself changed in the meantime. It's an interesting idea. And I'm very proud and happy to work still today with Mohammed Qassim. He's a wonderful artist with beautiful inventions, and I showed him the first time in 2003 in the exhibition Numbers, Time, Science in Mainz, in my gallery in Mainz. He was a very young artist at this time and not at all known outside of the Gulf region, but now he is, after he presented in 2013 the pavilion of the United Arab Emirates. He is, let's say, the shooting star, one of the most important and well-known artists of the United Arab Emirates. And he presented a wonderful presentation here in the Venice Biennale in 2013 on the 55th Biennale. And also in this show I had here in the Mirror of Reality, it was called, there was a beautiful work of his Direction series. Now, before we enter the little studio of Lou Robert, where she could work, you never know, I show you what she fall in love this year, because we always presented works of Lou Robert here. She was twice on the Biennale. She was also 2013 with her wonderful presentation in the Marciana, where we have also a nice book. Of course, you know, the publisher has always nice books. With her presentation Art and Knowledge, the Spirit of the Place in the 5 Platonic Solids. We presented frequently works of her, so we decided for this show to present her newest works. And they are all from this year, or at least completed this year. And at the beginning of the year, she fell in love in the Chinese signs. And so she worked on it. It's a, let's say, an Asian work group that you see here. We have Japanese paper, we have Chinese signs, and we have a Korean signature. This means hair, this means big, this means tea, and this means traveling. And especially the traveling is something that that we have to wait for a long time to do it again. So we are all happy to do it. And now we enter this little studio of Lore, and we will see some more of her new Chinese works. So we have here in her little libreria, how the Italian says, some multiples with this theme. So we have here the symbol for time, the symbol for gold, as well as here. And we have also these works in last year when there was Corona time, so Lore was a lot in her studio, and many people were sad, and they could not go out, they could not travel, they could not go to restaurants. And they said, if the world is so sad, I have to bring happiness in the world. So she made a lot of wonderful, colorful works that make the people happy, and it was under the title Forms and Colors. She invented about 300 new works with new ideas of forms and colors, and when you look at it, your fantasy could start, and you became happy, and you were not sad anymore. And when this year she started to fall in love in the Chinese signs, she combined these two. So she made these colors and form, and she combined it with signs, with Chinese signs. This is net, so maybe you can identify like network, time again. This is gate, the land, a friend, or a feather. So I think this is a very beautiful cycle, and these are just some few examples, but I think some very good ones. So here we see Lore working on new Chinese works. So we see her. Here we have the a bigger work with the Chinese signs. It means money. But I didn't choose it for the title, but I choose it for the form, because I think it's a very beautiful form, two things that come together, and maybe it's always something that have to come together to maybe to produce money. But it is there are two other very, very beautiful works aside. This is octagon, and it's this wonderful it's a dark green and with this salmon color, and here's gold leaf. It's a 23 karat gold leaf in the white field, and the octagon is a wonderful form. It's a form of infinite and very precise. We have here a fan, let's say. It's quiet, but it's movement at the same time, and I think with these two works aside, it's a beautiful group. Another thing that she invented this year was working again with structures and ornaments, and this is the very nice color combination, very elegant, with the white, the black, and the gold leaf, the 23 karat gold leaf. And she was very much influenced by the pavimenti veneziani, by the floors of the palaces and churches in Venice, and she saw all these structures and ornaments, and she loved it so much. And of course she always transfers, as artists never copies, they always invent, but based on some influences of some sorts. We had this structure, for example, at the work of the Biennale in Venice, and you see she continued to work on this theme. So last reminiscence I want to indicate is the little column here. It's one of the columns of decorated glass, and 2 years before, when there was the Art Biennale, and there she had a wonderful presentation in San Samuele Church, which is close to Palazzo Grassi, and you see here the little brother or sister, whatever you call it, from the big columns, which have been more than 4.5 meters in the church San Samuele. And with this wonderful decorated glass, you can learn about that looking at the same thing from different points of view give you different impressions and maybe different perception. So this is a very good example to show to you how art can maybe change your imagination, change your perception, and make you happy. And the best is you come to us to Venice, because the exhibition will last for until the end of March 22. So you have enough time to come to visit us, to see the artworks in original, and we are looking forward to your visit. Thank you.